Hello, hello everyone. Welcome, welcome. Start waiting for people to join. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome in. Hey, I'm Entertainment Weekly staff writer Chancellor Agard, and I'm so excited to be here today to be talking with Miss Katherine McNamara about part 5 of the Flash event Armageddon, and she just joined, so let's get started. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Oh wow, my camera's off now. Okay.
There we go.
Hi.
Hi,
How
how
are
are
you?
you, Chancellor?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's so good to see your face after hearing your voice last
Yours too. I know. Yeah.
week.
It's also been like 2 years, I think. I think the
I
last
know.
time was when we taped that Crisis Aftermath thing.
Oh my God, that was the last time we saw each other.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. What a small world and a
I
long
know.
break and
I
everything.
know.
Now we're back.
Yeah. But thank you so much for just coming on today. I really appreciate it. Because Mia Queen is back in the Arrowverse after 2+ years. Um, for you, how did it feel sort of returning?
It was really moving, actually. And I think it's because, the pandemic sort of demarcated, aside from doing things like The Stand and a couple of other jobs, Green Arrow finished up right before the pandemic happened. It was right at the end of 2019 that we wrapped the series. And then coming back to it after we've been through all of these crazy ups and downs and putting the suit back on, I think all of us have kind of been searching for something in our lives that makes us feel normal and makes us feel like we have a little bit of life back in a way that we used to. And when I got to set and put on the suit again for the first time and got back in the sort of structured chaos that is filming a superhero television show, it felt like I was back home. And it felt
Mhm.
like I was where I was supposed to be, and that suit fits like a second skin, and it was very, very, very moving.
I mean, I'm curious. I mean, what did you sort of specifically miss about playing Mia in those sort of 2 years?
There's so much to Mia. And, from the very beginning, when I was talking to Beth Schwartz, when they were still kind of creating the character on Arrow, I was so excited from day one because there are so many layers to Mia with the way her past is and how she was raised and sort of the strained relationship she has with both of her parents in very different ways, and even with the idea of being a superhero and being a good guy, and what is she's always questioned what people have told her is right and what people have told her is good. And I think that's a very different character than a lot of the other superheroes we see, but it's also a very Green Arrow trait. And that's
Mhm.
that's something about Mia, as her story has progressed, it's only become more complex. And we set up so many things at the end of Arrow that it was nice to be able to see a few of those come to fruition, or at least take the next step in this episode of The Flash.
Mhm. I mean, before talking about the Flash, I'm curious. I mean, looking back on your two season run on Arrow, I mean, what's sort of the fondest memory that sort of comes to mind?
Because I watched all 6 seasons at the time, it was 6 seasons of Arrow. In doing research to play Mia, my favorite bits were working with Stephen and Emily, because
Mhm.
you really got to see how they were similar and how they were different, and sort of what each character saw in Mia and of their partner. And coming from Shadowhunters and doing a lot of fighting, I think when I finally got in the ring with Steven in the Russia episode and doing the
Mhm.
crossover with Steven and all that stuff when we were fighting side by side, it sort of felt as though Mia had arrived in a lot of ways.
And so now Mia's back. It's again in real time. 2 years have passed both for you and for the character. Um, where do we find her when she's back in when she appears in Central City 2021 in
Oh,
Armageddon Part 5 airing tonight?
I know, airing tonight on the CW. Da, da,
Yeah.
da. Something I love so much about what Eric Wallace and the rest of the writers did on The Flash is that they found a way to push Mia to the edge and to push Mia to a place that she's never really been before, in a way where she has been obsessed with solving this problem, and she feels in a lot of ways as though she's failed some of the promises that she made to her parents, and she has kind of gone rogue in a sense, and maybe, we don't know, but maybe shirked her duties as the Green Arrow to move forward and rectify this failure of hers in her mind.
Mhm.
um and as we know with Mia, when she gets something in her head, she won't let it go, and will win, because that's what she has her heart set on. But nobody better than Uncle Barry and Aunt Iris to come in and kind of tell her what she needs to hear, and hopefully bring her back from that precipice a little bit.
Mhm. I know. I mean, I think the Flash has always been tonally different from Arrow, and like, I know you were on the Flash during the crossover. I think the crossovers are a bit more different, just because those are very much like already these tonal mismatches, no matter what show you're on, just because it's telling this larger story. But I'm curious for you, how did it feel to sort of come into the Flash, something that's totally different from Arrow, and sort of adjusting the way you play Mia to fit this show's tone, I guess, and the
It,
types of characters that you see on the Flash?
yeah, I mean, that was actually one of my first questions to Eric,
Mm-hmm.
because Flash is a much more tonally different show than Arrow, and Mia, by nature of her character, is very much the dark, brooding world of Arrow. It was interesting because I feel as though we got to see a lot of different sides of Mia, especially the sort of Mia 3.0 that was established in the Green Arrow and Canaries pilot. Is that she has her post-crisis life as a socialite with a happy family, and her pre-crisis life being raised in a cabin and trained by
Mm-hmm.
Nacelle people that are both meshing together, and we get to see not only a lot of Mia's hard outer shell as she's on mission, but we see a lot of her vulnerabilities and what she's really struggling with in this moment of, how do I take on this mantle, and how do I do and be everything for everyone, and still protect my heart in a way. And it's a struggle that I think a lot of these heroes go through, but Mia really has had no one to guide her for quite a while. Just as soon as she was starting to understand Oliver and why he made the decisions that he did, Oliver was ripped away from her again, and it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
rift in many ways, which we get to see.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, with this, I think a lot of, I guess for you coming back, did you go back and rewatch anything to prepare as well? Like, did you go back and rewatch the Green Arrow, the Canaries pilot, or past episodes of the Flash before you sort of got to set?
I rewatched a couple of things. I mean, I'm never, I don't know. I have a very strange relationship with watching my own work, as I think a lot of actors do. I learn from it, but it's not always my favorite thing to do. So I go back and watch a few things just to kind of remember. But I was so impressed with the script that the Flash writers sent me, because it was so dead on Mia. From the
Mm-hmm.
moment they completely understood her, and they completely dove right in. And Mia has such a particular kind of tone when it comes to her blend of sarcasm and grumpiness, and
Mm-hmm.
all of the things that make her the Olicity baby. They touched on each one of those notes so beautifully, and I felt as though I was reading a script written by the Arrow writers room. It felt very natural to jump back in, and at a place where, you know, Eric couldn't send me the scripts at the time, but he and I spent an hour or so on Zoom with him, dictating and explaining very passionately the entire of where Armageddon was up until this point.
Mm-hmm.
I think my jaw had been on the floor for 45 minutes of that hour, just given all of the things that were coming, as everyone's seen in the first four. But it really did feel as though Mia fit into that world. And I was really honored that they thought to bring me back.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure if you're allowed to say this. I mean, what was the first thing you shot when you got to set?
I actually am not allowed to say. I could tell you
Okay.
the first scene I had, I had no lines in. Um,
Okay.
which isn't a lot of them. But I will say this was a very different experience for me shooting Arrow or shooting Mia on the Flash, because for about a good half of my shooting time, I was in a
Mm-hmm.
cocktail dress and heels, which is not necessarily Mia's
Nope.
world at all. At least the Mia that most of us know for the majority of the time we've seen her.
Mm-hmm. And I think, and you've touched on this a bit, but I think, I mean, a lot of people, especially in the comments right now, are talking about how much they loved the Green Arrow and the Canary's backdoor pilot command of Arrow, which had a lot of dangling threads, if regards to Mia, both the Canaries, what happened to William, what's up with Diggle's sons. For you, I guess, what kind of answers can we expect in regards to some of those threads, I guess?
There are some, I wouldn't say there's any definitive answers as of
Hmm.
yet. A lot of things. There are hints and clues and nuggets that will hopefully be, continued in the future, or at least have set Mia on the path to figuring it out.
Hmm.
I tried to add in as many of those little things as I could, whether it was visual or verbal. Um, Careful watchers will pick up on a few more than were scripted, which, the Eric and the writers were so wonderful. And they're like, if there's anything that you think we could drop in or anything you want to add or talk about, let's do it. And I threw a couple of ideas at them we were able to integrate that
Hmm.
just fit exactly in with what their story was and where Mia would be. And I think just kind of added those little Easter eggs that the fans love to look at. But I think we get a few indications that will move the mystery forward in a
Hmm.
way.
Because were there any ideas that you had or that they had for Mia that had to be cut for one reason or another that aren't a spoiler for you to share?
I don't know because I haven't seen the episode.
Okay.
But I don't think so. I threw a
Hmm.
few fracks in here and there because we have to
Hmm.
give that nod, especially because it came from, that world, the world of the Flash in the first place. Um, but I know there are a few things in there, and thank goodness they all keep track of the mythology, because there were some things even with rules of the world that I had to go, okay, how does this work? Because the world of the Flash is so different. The world of Arrow is
Hmm.
very grounded in reality and weapons and fighting, whereas the Flash, they have the metas and the time warps and the Flash and all of the crazy powers that we don't have on Arrow. And it was neat to really learn about that world as well, and see how Mia fits in a place where it's not her element whatsoever.
Hmm. I feel like, I mean, I've seen the episode, and you get to work with a lot of people on The Flash. I'm curious, who surprised you the most while working with them? Which actor?
Surprised me the most. I oh, I'm not sure I can say because I'm not sure. There's one person who, let me just put it this way: bad guys are often played by the most lovely of people, and I got to encounter a lot of characters both on set and in scenes and passing through, and people that I'm huge fans of as well. Having watched a lot of these shows, and it's always wonderful to meet someone you really look up to on screen and find that they're just an absolutely lovely human being and just really kind and generous and amazing to work with. And I always find that with Grant as well, because he's been doing this so long and he works so hard and cares so much about this character. I have the utmost respect for him because he up to work every day with a sense of play and a smile on his face, and just makes everyone feel at home. And that's the biggest coming into a world like this.
Awesome. I guess to start wrapping up, I guess for you, I guess, do you view this as sort of the last time you'll play me, or are you hoping to be able to come back either on The Flash or on another show in the future?
I always hope to come back and play Mia. She's a character that means so much to me and has brought so many wonderful things and so many wonderful people into my life. And I don't think her story's done. I'm not done with her story. Now, it obviously remains to be seen whether or not the powers that be need Mia back in the story. But suffice it to say, if anyone needs a blonde with wavy hair to come shoot arrows at bad, just put a green arrow in the sky, and I will come running in a heartbeat.
Awesome. Kat, is there anything else you want to add before we let you go?
I just wanted to say a huge thank you, not only to you and to so many other folks in the press, but also to the fans. You know, it's been a very interesting road with Mia, and the fact that people are so excited to see her come back into this world after so long, it's incredible. And you know, the stories that I hear from people about their experience watching Mia and how they've kind of opened their hearts to her, given that she's not canon in the comics, and given that she's
Hmm.
character created for the show as the offspring of arguably two of the most beloved characters in Arrow, it means a lot to me that folks really embrace her in that way. And I just wanted to say thank you for all the love.
Awesome. I feel like I think looking at all the comments right now, I think all of them are very appreciative of you as well. Well, Kat, thank you so much for joining us today. Everyone on the live, please make sure to watch The Flash tonight at 8 p.m. on the CW. It's Air Armageddon Part 5. Don't miss it. And thank you all, guys. And
Thank you
talk to you
so
guys later.
much.
Thanks,
Bye.
Kat. Bye.